Tony D and Little Joan with the Screenwriter's Rant on Violent Night, a movie starring David Harbour as the actual Santa Claus fighting terrorist. Yeah. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Thanks for checking out the books. Links in the description. If you'd like to support the channel, make it Merry Christmas for me and buy a copy of The Pineys, books 1 through 9. Thank you. And thank you for those of you who have. I just got a really good review today, by the way. It's on my Twitter feed, pinned in the top comment, so check that out if you get a chance. So David Harbour is Santa. Like, I thought he was playing a Santa. I thought the pitch of this movie was Bad Santa meets Die Hard. Turns out it's like Christmas movie meets Die Hard. So it's actual Santa with actual reindeer. And then there's this rich couple who have a child, and then terrorists come to their house because they're very rich, and they want $300 million, and they're going to give it to them somehow, or that he has $300 million on his property. And then it just so happens Santa has shown up during the robbery and gets caught up in it. And this is from the producers of Nobody and Bullet Train. Well, Nobody did pretty good. I hear that's pretty watchable. Bullet Train, it kind of looked good on the trailer. I didn't see it. I didn't see either of those movies. I kind of wanted to see Nobody. Bullet Train, I sort of lost interest after its initial release. That's that Brad Pitt movie on the train. I mean, it's not an awful pitch, except it's like Santa fighting terrorists and like Santa having magical items to do that, which would make you think, wouldn't Santa have enough magic just to make the terrorists go away pretty quickly? Like this whole thing would be over in 10 minutes as opposed to 90 minutes. Oh, look, somebody's got a pinball machine. That's pretty cool. Anyhow, yeah, see here, he's fighting the terrorists, and the guy tries to stab him, and he holds up his magical sack, which is a bag of holding for those of you who used to play D&D, and he ends up stuck on a present, and then he beats guys with a sock filled with billiard balls, and he throws a Christmas star into the eye of a guy, and then he finds out Trudy, the little girl, is on his good list, so he's going to kill all the terrorists. Like, if she wasn't, would he just said, screw you, Trudy? I mean, there's so many things wrong with this movie. I get it. It's not supposed to be a serious movie, but my God, it's kind of dopey. John Leguizamo is the bad guy. Scenes of Santa fighting him in the middle of a fiery field of snow, and keeps using his naughty list he keeps using his magic. He has all these magic items that also help him fight the terrorists. So here he is checking his list, his magical list, where you can see naughty and nice, and he sees names of all the people there. Like, again, and he has to blow people up with grenades, and then the little girl reminds him that he gives coal to the bad guys, and he does something with coal to murder them. It's like, Santa murdering people? I think this could have worked as a non-magical movie. It's and part of the problem is I don't really like David Harbour, so I am biased against this movie. After he came out with all his nonsense, got ahead of himself with his politics, I think it kind of turned me off of the whole Stranger Things and him in particular. December 2nd in theaters. But, like, here's the problem. Christmas movies are generally for kids. And this isn't a kid's movie, all this violence, right? This would be more of a grown-up movie. So it's not for kids. But Santa's not for really adults. If this had been mall Santa who has to save the day, and he's a normal guy. Maybe he's a veteran who has to make ends meet, so he plays Santa. I mean, that would have been a cool movie, and it could have still hit the same notes without all the magic items, right? And then at the end, you could have this thing where at the end he tells the little girl still, after he kills all the bad guys, the little girl still believes he's Santa. That would be a nice movie. That would elevate the Die Hard movie. Instead, I feel like you're degrading a Christmas movie. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just too prejudiced against David Harbour. But I don't know. Something about the delivery of the whole thing, it just feels a little not quite as fun and as positive as it could be. Maybe it's because it's David Harbour. He doesn't feel like Santa to me. Doesn't feel like a guy who should be Santa. Like he could be a real Santa, quote unquote, but he doesn't feel like Santa. Like to me, Santa is that old, is that fat. Harbour is not that old or that fat. He's playing a guy who's older and fatter, right? Like to me, Santa is magic. So this would all be over in like 10 minutes. So unless like the bad guys had something that hurts Santa's powers in some way. And Santa wouldn't kill people either. He would somehow touch the hearts of the terrorists, and they would break down in tears and realize that they were, oh, we're terrible people. Why, Santa? Why did I decide to go along with this? Maybe like he would recruit one guy and bring him over to the side of good, and the guy would just be like, oh, I'm so sorry, Santa. Well, that's okay, Lawrence. You can help Santa save these people. Oh, I will, Santa, I will. Something like that. Something very heartwarming and wholesome. It's kind of grubby to kind of make Santa murder people and get them covered in blood. It just doesn't feel right. If you had done it like as Bad Santa, right? Even a sequel to Bad Santa would have been amazing. With Billy Bob. Or as David Harbour as essentially the same character. Bad Santa 3, Bad Santa versus the terrorist. The ultimate redemption arc. That would have worked. I think it really would have worked with like a normal mall Santa. But this, it's too convenient for a movie. It feels very contrived. He has enough magic to have Santa magic, but not enough magic to wrap this thing up in 5 minutes. Yeah, that's a problem with dealing with magic. The rules are, And then there's this idea that he can fly up the chimney and just turn into magic fairy dust, and then he has to be near the chimney to do it? Like, why? See, that's the problem with doing magic. Like, why does he have to be near the chimney? Then you're getting into the weeds on the logistics of magic, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But it needs to make sense. Enough sense. Which is why Santa would just win instantly against these guys. He would magically teleport the family away. Bring them up to his sled and give them a talk about how losing all the money was no big deal because at least they all had each other and their love. And then he would drop them off at the police station, and the police would be there, and they would say, oh, it turns out there was a gas leak in your mansion, and it exploded and killed all the terrorists. Or knocked them all out. It's a Christmas movie. It knocked them all out, and we just arrested them all. And one of them's already vowed to give up crime. You know what I mean? Something wholesome. And it just doesn't feel wholesome. It feels tacky. So, I don't know. I don't want to see this. Yeah. I don't know. If I was writing this movie, I would have made Santa much bigger. Right? If he's actually Santa, it should be like, ho, 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 I'm Santa. It's like that kind of Santa, right? He's trying to play it like a guy. Like, hey, I'm Santa. Hey, I'd stop at a bar for a beer, because I'm still a guy. No, no, no. Santa's magic. Santa's an elf. I don't think he drinks. Like, it should be, ho, 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 ho. I'm here to see the bartender. Here you are, my dear. This gift you missed out when you were just 10 years old. Oh, my God, that's the hat I wanted. How did you know? Who are you? Well, I'm Santa. Ho, 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 ho. Like that. And then, like, he's in the bar, but he's not there to drink. He's just doing Santa stuff. Like, he can't help himself. And then the guy asks him, wait a minute, I didn't see you over at the mall. Oh, of course not, Timothy. I'm the real Santa. You're helping out, though. And he gives him a gift, too. And the guy's like, is a real Santa? Like, that's the reaction you should have to Santa. And then when he comes down the chimney and meets a terrorist, he should instantly know his name. Right? He should be like, ho, 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 why are you pointing a gun at Santa? Like, he should be completely powerless against Santa, which means you can't really do a Die Hard movie. So, maybe you could have made this work with the Santa Claus, since there was kind of a dynamic there with the Tim Allen character and how he becomes Santa. I didn't see the movie, so I'm not sure of the rules of that one. This feels more like a Family Guy sketch, right? Did you see the Family Guy where Brian and Stewie take over for Santa and it all goes horribly wrong? It kind of feels more like that. Like if it was like the Santa Claus and then, he gave it to a new guy and then the new guy got into the terrorist thing. I mean, that would be more convoluted, I think. All right, so first act... I guess David Harbour's Santa, and we establish all the Santa things, and he stops for a beer. How does he have time to stop for... It doesn't make any sense. Even in the context of Santa, it doesn't make any sense. But okay, he stops for a beer because he's magic, and he can go to millions of houses, and he takes his good old time, and there's a bit where he steps in reindeer poop, and that's funny because, he goes to millions of houses all over the world, but he has time to do that, and then time to chastise Blitzen or whoever pooped on the roof. Like, you can't have it both ways. Santa can't be real and hit all the houses. Like, it's impossible. Anyhow, he gets into the house, the terrorists come, and somehow they keep him from going up the chimney. And for Christmas, the parents gave the little girl a walkie-talkie so she could talk to Santa, and then she uses it and then can talk to him. And I'm not sure how that works or why the parents... So what was the plan if Santa had just shown up, dropped off gifts, and left? Would she still be able to talk to Santa? Or does David Harbour pick up the other end of the walkie-talkie that the father was going to use to pretend to be Santa? Is that what happens? In which case, like, again, it's just, you're getting into the weeds on some details and then you're ignoring others for magic. I'm blowing up again. Yeah. Anyhow, the second act is mostly Santa murdering terrorists, which, again, I don't know if I want to see that. I'm pretty sure I don't. But he uses his magic bag of gifts, and then the guy tries to stab him, and he doesn't, and then Santa ends up killing him, I guess, and then at some point he gets tied up by Christmas lights, but then he escapes by going up the chimney because he's magic. But, like, why didn't he do that before? Like, I'm already seeing the holes in this the system. John Leguizamo wants $300 million. It's like, and Santa kills a guy with a grenade. It doesn't seem like a Santa thing to do. And then the third act, he fights Leguizamo, beats him because it's Santa, but beats him physically. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Yes. Oh, my head. You're combining two genres that I don't think really jive here. Now, maybe if one of the villains was like somehow connected to Krampus, right? The anti-Santa, essentially. And he had to beat Krampus. That would make a little more sense. Because then they'd both be magic. You know? Maybe I'm just biased against this movie, but I'm not going to say it. So it's called Violent Night, December 2nd. If you want to see this weird combo of movie, I guess you'll pay for it. Otherwise, you'll probably go see Black Adam. And that's it for me, Tony D and Little Joan. Check us out on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble for our more based takes. I'll be at the Scary Stories Book Fest in Asbury Park on Saturday, and we'll see you in the next one.